Matt freaking Eberflus. What's up? Welcome to the coaches meeting. That's the coach. I'm Grant Cohn. We were going to talk about the Rams today. We were going to talk about Trent McDuffie and the Rams really distancing themselves from the 49ers, making that big-time blockbuster move. But then boom, before we could even get the words out of our mouth, the 49ers hire Matt Eberflus. And then the corresponding move. Which move was bigger? Trent McDuffie? Matt, you tell me. The new assistant head coach. This is second in command to Kyle Shanahan. Matt freaking Eberflus. We all know Matt Eberflus. We all know Big Flus. I call him Flus. I'm a Flus guy. Ebs. What do you think of this move, Matt Eberflus, assistant head coach?
I really like the hire. One thing that I like about it is that it takes kind of like the vulnerabilities or the worries that I had about Matt Eberflus kind of away. I don't think that Matt Eberflus is necessarily a head coach. I don't think that he's really, built out for that job description, but I do respect his football mind. And really, I love how his approach to the game, especially on the defensive side of the ball, really mirrors with a lot of the cutting edge philosophies that you see on around the NFL, that's particularly with the linebacker position. That's one thing that I love about this too. We know Coach Eberflus comes in with what he calls his HITS principle, which stands for hustle, intensity, and takeaways, and playing smart. He's developed that phrasing on his own, but he got it going.
How do you know these Flus facts?
I do a
How
little
do you know
bit
Flus facts? Did you learn that was that on the Snapple?
Flex.
Wow,
Flus
okay.
flex on the fly. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we get a little bit of hits principle that's going to come into the building. I love it. It's going to, essentially the idea around this is that he's going to take over the vacant spot that was left by Coach Gus Bradley, who's moved on to the Tennessee Titans with Robert Saleh. That seems like to be the conventional thinking. One thing that I will say is that I have seen a little bit of a trend with the 49ers in that Kyle Shanahan is steadfast and married to the wide nine, but he cheats on the wide nine with his little defensive coordinator consultants that he brings in, right? Part of one of the reasons why Coach Shanahan didn't get along with other guys that came in, like a Coach Wilkes, is because really he couldn't marry his version of defense and what he knew about different concepts of his defense to marry into the wide nine. I think that Gus Bradley has done a phenomenal job at that, and it's kind of made that one spot a little bit more flourishing to, help Kyle out. I do think that Coach Eberflus coming in is going to help the defense, and we already know that there's been serious talks about the Niners making some wholesale changes on defense as far as packages are concerned, with adopting some 3-4 principles. So I love the hire. Love to have him in the building.
I love the hire too. I can't tell you how much I like this hire, even though he just got fired by the Cowboys after 1 year on the job because he had the worst defense in the league, 32nd out of 32 teams points allowed. I think it's a great hire, even though he's had the worst defense in the league twice in his career. You know why I like the hire? Because Eberflus is such a fun word to say. Try it out. Eberflus. You can shorten it so many ways. Flus.
It could be a verb. It could be an adjective. It could be everything. I just Eberflused all over the place.
What does the assistant head coach do? Whether or not this guy's a good coach or not, I'm not even sure what the assistant head coach does. Does he hold the head coach's hand? Does he text him good morning? Does he text him good night? Does he text him, I'm thinking about you? Hey, man, give him hell today. I'm in your corner. Is he the designated talker? Does he give speeches? I don't really think Matt Eberflus matters, but it's nice to have an Eberflus in the organization. How many teams have an Eberflus? One.
You're a dick.
One.
Look. You look what if you really want to look at what Matt Eberflus has done, like as far as like, all right, who has he put his hands on? look at the linebacker that he had in with the Colts. Who was that that 3-time All-Pro linebacker that
Is
he
it like
had?
Darius Leonard? Like, what was his name?
Uh,
Hold on. It was a long time ago.
long time
2020
ago. Yeah, he
Colts.
was like a really good linebacker out of the Colts. I think he got hurt, ended up washing out. But that was Matt. That was the product of Matt Eberflus's coaching. I'm telling you, he does a really good job at helping out linebackers to be able to play with blurred vision, to be able to see things, play faster. Shaq Leonard, there we go. And you know, he's got a lot of good. You know, the Rams conversation, which I hope we're going to get to, but the Rams conversation with them making moves with Trent McDuffie, it allowed me to look more at the Chiefs more so than the Rams, right? And understanding what it takes to build developmental players inside of your building, so you can make moves like Trent McDuffie or what they did earlier on with Snead, where these are guys that they took in, built, and put them out on the market and actually made a name for themselves. So having guys like Coach Eberflus in the building, maybe we can get some young guys up to speed, and he can be a help to us.
I remember when he was the defensive coordinator with the Colts, right before he got hired as the Bears head coach. He got a lot of traction. I feel like it was Dan Orlovsky. Someone on ESPN was hyping him up, and they're like, look what he does. You know, most defenses, when an offense motions, if the defensive player travels with them, then it's man. And if he doesn't, then it's zone. But watch here, like the guy's going to travel, and then boom, they're playing zone. Or you watch here, like they're not going to travel, and damn, they're playing man. Like he's really messing with you. So that kind of got him famous. And he seemed like a little ahead, like a cutting edge at that point. But I mean, I think a lot of teams do that now. The Seahawks do that. And once he got his opportunity to be a head coach, he was really bad. I mean, they were awful with Caleb Williams, and he leaves, and they're good without him, without Matt Eberflus. And then as a defensive coordinator, despite the fact that he's tricky like that, he really hasn't had the results. Neither has Raheem Morris. So I guess two's better than one. These guys aren't going to replace Robert Saleh. The defense isn't going to be what it was. I mean, it could have more talent, but it had talent with Nick Sorensen as we here. I'm curious to see what the fall off is going to be like, and if the players buy in, because once again, with the Wilkes and Sorensen era, it was like, what's the scheme? What are you trying to do? Do you have background on the wide nine? And does Fred Warner buy in? We're going to talk about Fred Warner in a minute, but it's going to be interesting to see what he thinks of Raheem Morris and Matt Eberflus. And these guys, they don't really have a common scheme. They don't really know each other. It's going to be interesting to see how they work together.
Yeah, you are right. There is going to have to be a chemistry a period where these guys have to get on the same page. And on top of that, whatever voice or whatever message that they put out to the team, they're going to have to buy it, because we do know here, if the players don't buy in, you know, the defense is good as done. We've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, Fred Warner acts like he's the defensive coordinator. He knows football, and if I mean, I respect Fred Warner, but I think George Kittle kind of acts like he's the offensive coordinator, and Fred Warner acts like he's the defensive coordinator. They both talk like coaches, and I wonder, was Fred Warner consulted on this? I mean, they've always kept the same freaking scheme forever, and I always thought it was because of him or Bosa or both. But now we got Flus. So Fred, get ready to speak Eberflus. Let's talk Fred Warner. A bizarre rumor came out yesterday from people who are established in the industry. Art established guys, not looking for clout, not looking to rage bait. Said that Fred Warner, the Niners might trade him if they get Dre Greenlaw, and then another guy from DC out in your area said that I just wanted to leave the Niners, and he's not the only one. Dude, I mean, I know none of us have any information on this, and we'll probably never find out what's going on. And I don't think either of us expect Fred Warner to get traded. But what do you think might be going on? Let's be very irresponsible.
You want to be very irresponsible?
Very irresponsible. But we're giving the disclaimer right now. This is irresponsibility.
Oh, man. Because I can only be irresponsible with you. You're a horrible influence, Grant.
I know.
But they're tired of each other. This doesn't seem like it has anything to do with performance. This is not about football. This is about living and being around somebody for almost 10 years and growing and having more money than you did when you met that person and having a different cachet. And these guys are adults now. They're grown men. They're veterans, right? And they've gone from rookies to young guys who were underrated to young guys in their prime who were overrated to now they're all kind of the music is dying down, and now the dust is settling on where everybody's career is on the backdrop of the organization. And if you think about it, we'd be naive to think that these boys are all friends and that, they all kick it on the weekends. They're not. They all
Some of them
have
are.
their own. Some of them are, and they
want us to know it.
I think that we all know that the Cabo clique is real, and
They won't let us forget.
They ain't taking any new members. The Cabo clique is like one of those legacy golf clubs where they're so well to do they don't even take membership. They select, right?
Fred's
so
not he's not in the
and
club.
Fred has never been in that Cabo clique area of the team. And what's even crazier is that, all right, so let's put a little football into this. Let's be really irresponsible. Some of these dudes in the Cabo clique don't deserve to be on the team. Let's just be real. Some of these guys aren't talented.
Yeah.
Right? Some of these guys are overpaid. And when you are somebody who has played their way and stood alongside of that shit, been congruent with it, but at the same time still been a professional, as time goes on, you can start telling the truth a little bit of some of these hollow voices around the team that don't necessarily hold as much weight as they should. And that's what we have on this team. We have a lot of ceremonial leaders here because of in name and in status and in cachet. But if we really let the best players on this team talk, there would be some people that not only wouldn't have a voice, but they would not be on this team. And we just got to be honest about that. And if Fred Warner, let's just say that this narrative that I'm pushing rose to the level of reality, it would be Fred Warner, quite frankly, understanding that there's 31 teams in the NFL that would take me. And I don't have to put up with being a second-class citizen on a team where, quite frankly, I'm better than most of the people who think they're first-class citizens.
Everyone. He's the best player on the team.
I'm the best player on this team, and I don't have to play second fiddle to anybody. And I shouldn't have to apologize for my status on this team either. And I think that there's been some instances with Fred where he's felt like he's had to do that. Or he's just been the leader, and there's been some people on the team who have made some tongue-in-cheek remarks and some really just kind of nasty remarks about Fred's status on the team, and it's ill-placed. And if he was to leave because of those reasons, it would be a shame, because we'd be stuck with guys who really don't deserve to be on the team.
It would be a shame to lose your best player. He's the best player on the team.
It would be a shame.
He's the best player on the team. He's one of the best players in franchise history. He is the leader of the team. And if he's unhappy with the culture of the team, there's something wrong with the culture of the team, not him. They gotta fix that. And it's clear what the culture is. I mean, if there's a group event and Fred's not there, there's something wrong with the group. I'm sorry. He needs to be there. Unless he got the invitation and said, no, thank you. It just seems like, I don't know, for whatever reason, he's not in the inner sanctum, the royal family. And maybe that bothers him. I mean, it seemed like it bothered Dre Greenlaw. That guy left with a huge chip on his shoulder last year. Like, yo, I don't matter. You don't want me. You want the fullback and not me. Like,
me?
And then Kyle and Don went to his house and they tried to like beg him to stay. And he's like, oh, man, no, absolutely not. This is what we're talking about with this team. Certain people feel alienated and leave and feel unappreciated. And those people aren't in Cabo right now.
Like, what is Trent Taylor still doing here? I don't get it, man. And that's no shade to Trent. You know what I mean? But I don't know where I'm supposed to be.
I feel like George Kittle takes little passive-aggressive jabs at Fred constantly, on the record, in public. And people
Yeah.
are like, oh, he's so funny. But like when he broke his leg and he was at the stadium and the cameras cut to him and crowd went crazy. He was firing people up. The Niners offense was on the field. After the game, George was like, God, Fred's such an aura farmer. We had to go to a silent count because it got so loud for him. Like, gee, doesn't he get enough attention? That's kind of what it seemed like. Or then the year before when he told people that he was playing through a broken ankle, someone brought that up to George and he was like,
other
a lot of people are playing through injuries. We just don't talk about it.
Other people are playing through
We
injuries
just don't
too.
talk about it.
Yeah.
That was 2. I don't know. They've been on the team. They've been teammates forever. If they were good friends, I feel like you'd know it. They seem like they have like a competitive rivalry at best, or they just don't mess with each other. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either. But we've been watching these boys for going on 10 years now, and we've been watching them, and there's something there, definitely. But yeah, like we said, the reason why the conversation is even here is because reputable people around the league are, making reports about this. People who are willing to put their reputation around this. So it's got to be real.
What did you say at the beginning? They're sick of each other. This is what happens.
They're sick of each other.
Keep a group of players together too long. This happened in Seattle. Remember, all of a sudden, everyone hated Russell Wilson, and people were talking crap about him, and it was Richard Sherman. It's like, you got to clean house. You can't keep all these guys together when they were all, partying together in San Diego and throwing footballs into pizza ovens. That was 10 years. Like, they were all kids then. Now they're grown-ups, and it's time to get some more youth on this team. I guess that's what I would say. This is weird.
But that's on Kyle. Instead of taking on the anxiety of a young head coach, he used his team to be his blankie. He used his team to be his crutch, and he shouldn't have done it. And he's been dealing with it for years now. He's too close to them. He needs to build a barrier.
Yeah. Jewish guy says, Coach, one off-season skill that Kyle has is hiring and developing coaches. He definitely, he helped some of their careers. Steve Wilkes probably didn't feel that way. Let's talk free agency. The Niners are linked to Denver Broncos defensive lineman John Franklin Myers. What do you think? Should the Niners go get him?
Well, his valuation right now is going to be about $7 million a year. I think that he's going to get paid a little bit more than that. He first started with, I think, the Rams. Then he played for the Jets. Finally came over. He's with the Broncos now. The Broncos right now have 3 first-round picks on their defensive line. They've paid, and they've also paid 3 guys. They simply can't afford him, but they would love to keep him. He's got 7.5 sacks, huge interior rusher, really good against the run, long arms. He's in the middle of his prime, so I wouldn't mind signing him for like a 2-year, $15 million deal, 3 years for $21 million to get him on. That's if we can fight off the other teams with a little bit more money that would love to have him. Right now, it's not only us, but Tennessee seems to be in the race to pick him up. I think that he could be slotted in right next to Alfred Collins and really help out our defensive line. But one thing I would say is that if we still got him, I would still go D-line in the draft. He's a patch. He's not a guy that's supposed to be here for 4 to 5 years. Right now, we're kind of catching him in the uptick of his career. So right now, what we would get out of him is the best he'll ever be. He had to actually play a couple of years to get to this level. But I would love to pick because Denver, they would sure love to keep him. He's a good quality starter if we would be able to afford him.
Yeah, I mean, 7.5 sacks last year, 7 the year before that. He's a real pass rusher. And the Niners don't have many of those. They have Nick Bosa. And they tried to draft defensive linemen last year. They can draft run defenders, but the only pass rusher they've ever drafted under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch is Nick Bosa. So don't draft anymore. I'm definitely into signing a defensive lineman who isn't going to cost $20 million a year. I feel like that's kind of what the Seahawks, they added some mid-price defensive linemen throughout the years, like Uchenna Nwosu and DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't know if this guy's as good as DeMarcus Lawrence, but he's a good player, and he'd be the Niners' second best pass rusher. I'd be for it. Because if they don't sign this guy, who are they going to sign? And I like Keon White, but he got shot in the foot. And I like Mykel Williams, but he was nothing as a pass rusher. So
And
yeah,
let's not forget, people are still forgetting that Alfred Collins is coming off of a shoulder surgery as well. That if he would have had, he would have ended his season. So we got to see how he's going to bounce back from that.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Some super chats. K9er says, "Is Jonnu Smith someone to consider? Need tight end help?"
I don't know, man. The Niners have an issue right now where we need help to be able to get better, but at the same time, we have to get younger and cheaper. Right now, the free agency
30.
class the free agency class this year is top heavy, brother. I can't do it. We need to actually go out there and draft. It's time. Is there a world? Let me ask you this, Grant. Is there a world where what we need just can't be found in free agency for the money that it's costing? Anybody young enough that we need is way too expensive. Anybody viable enough right now, it would be somebody that we need short enough for a short amount of time to pay him a boatload of money. But that would be like a win now situation, right? Like we gotta have him now. But it doesn't make sense to pick up a Mike Evans or a Romeo It doesn't, or a Max Crosby. Why? We're nowhere near a window where we would even be able to utilize that type of money. We got to go actually do what we're horrible at doing. We got to go draft.
Well put. Smells like foot in here says, hypothetical, if the Niners called Minnesota to sell Mac and Min said no, but asked about Purdy, are the Niners listening? Be irresponsible. Floose the goose.
What would you do?
I would.
You would do it?
Yeah. But
For what?
I don't think they can. I mean, I think it's sort of like the Fred Warner situation where they can't trade him this year. Like, hold on. If they were to trade him this year, they would take on $66 million in dead cap. And that he would go from having a cap number of $24 million to $90 million. Like they can't happen. Can't do it.
Yeah.
But next year I would. That's why I want to keep Mac Jones, because next year you might want to trade Brock Purdy and keep Mac Jones again. That's a decision for next year. For now, I'd like to keep them both.
There's no moves that would get you to move on from Mac Jones now.
No, because I feel like if your starting quarterback's Brock Purdy and you trade Mac Jones, then you have to replace Mac Jones. You can't have you can't have a regular backup quarterback because Brock gets hurt, and that's the problem. And that's why I wouldn't want Brock as my quarterback.
Why you figure like Kirk ain't out there, dog?
Kirk O'Bangs, because Kirk might get a starting job.
You think so?
He might go to Minnesota.
True.
That's the thing. I don't think Minnesota's going to trade for Mac Jones when they could just sign someone like
Cousins.
Kirk or Kyler, or they could trade for Derek Carr. I mean, there's so many
Malik
options.
Willis is out there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Geno's out there.
Geno is out there.
And the Niners apparently want a first-round pick for this guy, which I don't believe. But if you're not getting any offers, you could say that. Joseph Ernberg says Fred would look good in a Giants uniform. I think every team would like him.
Yeah, he look good in any uniform.
All right, let me ask you this: the Seahawks have a bunch of free agents that a lot of teams would want. I mean, I'm thinking Boye Mafe, Reek Woolen. The Niners have been linked to Reek Woolen, Kenneth Walker, Rashid Shaheed. I'm sure there's
Josh
more.
Jobe.
Him.
Josh Jobe.
Yep.
You've got,
the safety.
Yeah.
What's his name? Kobe. What's his face?
Kobe Bryant.
No. Yeah.
Kobe Bryant. Yep.
Of all the Seahawks free agents, which one do you think the Niners should go get?
Reek Woolen.
Reek Woolen?
I would go get Reek Woolen. Now, obviously, I haven't looked at his valuation of where he ranks in this year's free agency class. So obviously, there's a world where we just get priced out. But we've been hovering around this big corner experiment from the Niners for a while. And the reason why we've been doing it is because we've never really replicated that archetype from what we had in Richard Sherman years ago, We'd love to be able to play that stubborn three-man shell where we have a corner that's long enough to truly take away 1/3 of the football field, right? With his length, his versatility, then also be physical enough to come up and help in the run game. We really haven't had that since Sherm has been there. Now, we've tried to replicate it. The shots out to you, Darrell Luter Jr., but it hasn't really panned out. I do believe that us having that big corner on the edge makes us more, true to our roots, honestly. And I think that being in Enrique Woolen, he needs a change of atmosphere. I think that the defense that Coach McDonald brought in was a little bit too much for him to be able to play as free as he wanted to. Also, one thing that I like as well is that if Reek Woolen came over here, it's not like Coach Bullocks would be here for him. I like the Reek Woolen and Coach, what is the new DB's coach that we have here? Coach Gray. The new Coach Gray hookup. I would love for that tutelage and student kind of situation to go on. I think that it would really help us out. And also, we do need another corner to help out with the balance, especially with Diamador Lenore. Now, I'm gonna say this, and I know some people may disagree with me, but I really think that Demo is a slot. I don't think that he's a number one corner. I know that they're paying him like that, but as far as being closer to the line of scrimmage, being a real slotty racer, somebody that can travel on our defense, I would love to see him in that role and be able to see what Reek Woolen could do over there in that true boundary corner position. So Reek Woolen's my guy. I would love to pick him up.
Yeah, he's really good. He might be the most expensive of the Seahawks free agents, but if they can get him, I mean,
I think Kenneth Walker may be a little bit more expensive. Yeah, he's out there.
Kenneth Walker's going to get like $14-15 million a year. Reek might get 20. He's a hell of a cornerback. Yeah, cornerbacks get a lot of money. Hard to say. Jawan Jennings going to get 20 plus. I mean, Reek might get 20 plus. I'm going to go with someone like that. I'm going to go with someone a little cheaper, but if they could get this guy too, this would be my favorite, my priority. Rashid Shaheed, I think would be a great signing for the 49ers. I think they should have traded for him at the deadline. I think he's one of the main reasons the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. I mean, he scored a touchdown against the Niners in the first play. He's the best returner in football. He's not a number one receiver, and they'd still need to draft like a real big-bodied guy to replace Jawan Jennings, but he's super fast. He gives you a skill set you don't have. He's the speed you need, and he can do all the gadget stuff that you don't have anymore. He can do the end arounds and the jet sweeps. I like Rashid Shaheed. I would get him. I don't think he'd be that expensive. $10 million a year.
One thing that he would also give us is a vertical threat. Like you said right there, automatic special teams demon, added speed to this team. Just, I don't care. We're so bereft of speed. I'll take it wherever we can get it. I'll take a punter with a 4.2 if we can do it. Like I don't care what we can take. But I'd love to get Shaheed because we do. We need youth. We need speed, and we do need somebody that's actually consistent in special teams.
I want to come back to Matt Eberflus for a second. If you're just tuning in, this is the news of the day. The Niners hired Matt Eberflus, and I'm just trying to figure out why. Because, I mean, this guy just got fired as a defensive coordinator after 1 year. He's had a rough few years. But, one, he was with the Cowboys last year. The Niners are facing the NFC East next season. So I think he should be able to help the Niners game plan for those opponents. In addition, when coordinators get hired, they usually get a 2 or even a 3-year contract. That's guaranteed. So he got fired after 1 year. That means he's still on the Cowboys payroll, which means he's on the Niners coaching staff, but they're probably not paying him. Cowboys are paying him. So it's kind of like free labor. That's kind of the way I look at it. You needed a guy.
Okay.
He doesn't really have to do that much. You don't have to pay him.
Yeah.
He knows some opponents you're going to have to face. Why not? I think it's like that.
Also, like I said, I also feel like one thing that the Niners, they up front, we touted was our front seven, but You know what's been waning, Grant, is the development of our linebackers. That's something that used to be huge for us in years past. And I do believe that Coach Eberflus could be here as an investment, as a development for the linebackers, especially if one linebacker becomes more of a hybrid spot under Morris, and you need somebody to be able to coach that up, coach that position up. I think that's his strength. Like we talked about, Shaq Leonard with the Colts, 3-time All-Pro. It's just, I do believe that he can help us out on the field, but the way you build it, if the way you're building it, if we got him for free, it could be them just kind of putting a name in a position. That could be it too.
Could be it. The regular Ryan says, do the use checks have Cabo drunk blackmail footage on Kyle? How else does a fullback have so much sway? Is use check the one with sway, or is it Kittle? Oh, man. I feel like it's Kittle, and his friends get diplomatic immunity, but he's the guy. I mean, why is Trent Taylor on the team? Because he's friends with Kittle.
Yeah.
Why is use check on the team? Because he's friends with Kittle.
Friends with Kittle. Yeah. I think that George builds his persona. They all build their persona with their play. So let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
But I think that off the field, George builds his persona through promotion. And Fred has built his persona through reputation.
Yep. Tight end, busting with the boys.
Yeah.
WWE.
He's just you're just a social butterfly. You know what I mean? Like you're all over the place. And it would bother you to have somebody with a voice where it's like, yeah, George, you gotta work for your money, to get us going. You gotta sweat for your coin. But when Fred walks in the room, it's effortless. We know who the man is when he walks in the room, and that can make you feel a little way. That can make you feel a certain way.
Absolutely. All right. Do you think Kyle Shanahan can develop young players, or does he simply choose not to? I mean, the defense is undergoing this whole rebirth, trying to get younger, and the offense is like, age is nothing but a number. Who said 35 is old on that? Anyway, what do you think? Can he do it?
The jury is out, and really, let's stick with what we know. Most coaches that come in, they have either a side of the ball that they love, and particularly a position that they come from, right? And let's look at Coach Reed. Coach Reed is an offensive line guy. He loves the offensive line, knows how to scout it, knows how to develop guys and pick guys up and have them on the team. Coach Reed's developmental skills with offensive line are so well respected that the Eagles are still using them to this day. Look at what they've done with their DBs. They play rookies. That's one of the advantages of being able to develop guys is you know exactly where they are along their progression, and you can also know what they can handle and what they can't handle. You put them on the field and actually get real usage out of them. We saw that with Snead. We just saw that with Trent McDuffie moving on. We picked up another a young corner that they moved on with Shavarius Ward. They've all moved on from these guys before they've either gotten their big paydays and they've gotten things from them. We've also seen this in the league before Coach Reed or while he was here and Coach Belichick. Jamie Collins coming from Southern Miss.
Don't forget D Ford.
Come on, man. D Ford moved on from him, right?
Yep.
We looked at Deion Branch, Richard Seymour, all of these guys that they moved on from in those times with the Patriots where guys were like, you guys are crazy to move on from these players. But that is the advantage of having a true evaluator in the building where they understand where these guys are, not only in their talent now, but in the progression of where they're going to be. They can forecast. I don't really see that here with the 49ers. And let's kind of take this into Kyle's perspective. The two positions that I would think that he would really be up on would be quarterback and receiver, right? Now, you look at some of the guys that he's brought in, and Dante Pettis, other guys like Kendrick Bourne, lovable losers, right? Nobody that really took the top off or made a real name for themselves in the league. But his two-star pupils, let's stay there. For all of those people who want to argue this point and say, well, he has two all pro receivers that were under his tutelage in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Number one, Kyle actually had to coach Deebo Samuel in the Senior Bowl. He went out and actually scouted him, put his hands on him, and saw the player. Once he got him in the building, one could say that Deebo only had one real season of production where he was noticed in the league. Outside of that, he was our number one receiver, but just in ceremony only. He doesn't run the full route tree. They bastardized his skill set. He never really grew into a player that was beyond the skills of what he had as a rookie. And then just to see what he did with the skills that he was supposed to have learned with the 49ers, we see what he did with Washington, and they're ready to move on from him. Same thing with Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk has had one good year of real true production. And the biggest claim to fame that we have with Brandon Ayuk is Kyle Shanahan forcing the organization to pay him when they were trying to move on from him. On top of Brandon Ayuk's own developmental woes with Kyle Shanahan, with being in the doghouse, not understanding his role on the field, right? And these are things that you say, all right, Kyle, receiver's supposed to be your baby. That you don't want to look at that, all right, let's go to quarterback. The only guys that Kyle truly puts his hands on are guys that are afterthoughts, backups after his starters, or dudes that have moved on. It would be unfair, and we do not have enough time to go into the whole Trey Lance situation. All of the things that not only transpired, that Kyle actually said, almost to the tune of a man who has his own developmental camp with quarterbacks, telling us that it is not his job to develop quarterbacks. Kyle said that. Am I tripping?
You're not tripping.
I'm not tripping. Thank you. I just needed somebody to level set with me. So my question is that when I saw the Trent McDuffie trade with the Rams, I understand that for us, we could be able to look at the Rams and say, God, what does this say about the Rams? Are they stronger? They're obviously going for a Super Bowl. But for me, I just look at the Chiefs and say to myself, of all of the guys that we have in our building, where's our developmental arm? Where's our farm of players that we bring on young, get these guys up and move them on for parts? Not guys that get drafted late, get utilized and developed on their own and become names for themselves, and then we use them to the point where we can't afford them anymore. So don't give me Dre Greenlaw or DJ Jones, all right? We know who put their hands on these dudes, all right? I'm talking about what athlete is walking around here today saying, and you could say that's a Kyle Shanahan man. That's a receiver that got developed by Kyle Shanahan. What's a running back out here today that you can look at right now that's killing it in the league today, or even was and say that's a Kyle Shanahan running back, or a tackle, or a guard?
I'll give him George Kittle. You know what I mean? Like there were guys, Deebo, Ayuk, but they're gone or they're old. And I feel like the same thing's happening with the Warriors right now. I mean, you're not a Bay Area guy, but the Warriors, they were a dynasty, and you got Steve Kerr out here refusing to play young guys for years. And it's like, well, this guy he can't fit my system. He doesn't fit the role, this and that. And then Kuminga leaves. He's over with the Hawks. He's playing pretty well. It's like he couldn't play for you. Isn't Kyle the same way? It's like at a certain point, some of these coaches just don't want to teach anymore. They just want guys who know their system. And those are older players who aren't that gifted, but at least they speak the same language as the coach. And that's a problem when you're the kind of coach who doesn't have the time to coach kids in their 20s. That's not good, dude.
Yeah. So I just, he doesn't play rookies. Why? Your system is too complicated for rookies to get it. Why? Why can't you get these guys up to snuff? What is it with you where you can't get young guys going? So
we kept asking all year, why isn't Jordan Watkins playing and why isn't Jordan James playing? And he never had a good answer.
So when I see the moves like the Rams did yesterday, it's like, dude, they play young guys. Like Rashee Rice, young guy. They play youth over there. They don't play around with their picks. They get worth out of these guys and they ship their asses out, or they turn into something that's good enough to pay for. We don't do that here.
That's true. If you won't play young players, if you won't get them on the field, then all you're doing is putting a premium on you're just making your older players more expensive because they have something that the younger players don't have. So what's the point of even drafting these guys if they have to sit on the bench for years, and then by the time they actually know the system, they're up for an extension? And if they have one good year, you got to give it to them because you drafted and developed them.
Yeah, they're trying to turn football into like a factory job. They're trying to turn this into like this workman's like atmosphere where, oh, we can keep Bill around. Bill knows this. Bill's been working on this machine for 30 years. He knows what to do. It's like, no, this is ever changing. This is competitive. You've got to switch things out. Guys, there's no such thing as a vested player. Like, dude, after a certain while, you just like the guy. He's not good enough. You like him. That's what it is.
It's true. It's true. Should the Niners do what the Rams are doing? They just traded for Trent McDuffie. They might trade for Max Crosby. They're not messing around, dude. They're dropping what on the table. Should the Niners do the same, or should they be meek?
I think they should be meek. And not. I know meek sounds like retreat or surrender, but just in this phase of the offseason, we're not done yet, guys. We're close, but we have to, for lack of a better term, we got to eat it for one more season, right? And that is, they've got to go face that beast. They got to go get younger. They have to go get those draft picks. They can't sit here and pay these guys and bring in more guys where we kick the can down the road and lie to the fans and we're quasi going after a Super Bowl. That can't be the narrative. They're close. We already know that April 1 is the showdown. This is where it's all about. Everybody's waiting on whether or not the Niners are going to pay Trent Williams that $10 million that he's due. Then we'll know. We'll know exactly where the Niners stand. And if the shift in the building of Kyle kind of getting nipped from the financial side of the game, we'll know if it's true or not. So that's what I'm essentially waiting for as far as free agency is concerned. Outside of that, spending money, is it safe to say that they got to ask now to spend money now? They can't just – I don't think that it's as liberal as it used to be.
That's the sense I get. I get the sense that in LA, the football people have ultimate power and they get what they want. You have owners with deep pockets who trust Les Snead and Sean McVay. So if they say, hey, we need Trent McDuffie, we need Max Crosby, they say, great, let us know how much to write the check for. I think the Niners used to have it that way. I think John and Kyle got nothing but yeses from the Yorks for years. And it all culminated with that awful, awful, awful extension for Brandon Ayuk, which no one in the organization wanted other than Kyle. He insisted. He overruled everyone. It blew up in their faces immediately. And I just wonder if – I don't think he can do that anymore. I feel like the ultimate decisions now are coming from not football people, money people, Parag and the Yorks. So that's why I feel like Trent isn't going to get the extension he wants. In the past, he could always lean on his relationship with Kyle, and if Parag was playing hardball, he could make a call and Kyle could make a call and get it done. I don't know that it works that way anymore in Santa Clara.
I feel the same way too, Grant. We saw shades of that with Jawan Jennings not getting the deal that he wanted. Right now, we're going to see if they're going to follow suit with not acquiescing to Trent, wanting more guaranteed money. Essentially, he's reneging on the deal. Let's just be honest. That's what he's doing. He has a deal. He's in the middle of it, and he's saying, you know what? This doesn't work for me. I want us to redo the deal. And, I would not be mad if the Niners told the organization, let's be clear. I wouldn't be mad if the organization told Trent, hey, kick rocks, man. Go try.
We don't do business like that anymore.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. And you know what? And I'm not even mad at you because we're sending mixed signals because it's happened before. But things have changed, right? And I would love for the organization to close the door on the coaching staff and send their asses out there to go get a tackle. He's not coming back. Go get a tackle. When did they pick up Joe Staley? What pick? 27, 28?
28.
They picked up Joe Staley 28th overall. Go get a tackle. And again, Grant, what's the plan? The Niners don't have a plan to replace Trent Williams. What's the plan going to be? Go get a guy, put a helmet on him, preferably with a shirt and a number on his back with his last name, and play him. That's the plan.
I mean, I could see Parag and Jed being like, no, we're not going to go get you Max Crosby. You know what you're going to do, John? You're going to draft the guy. And Kyle, you're going to coach him up. That's what we pay you to do. We, Parag and Jed, have been buying our way out of your mistakes for years. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's over, man. You got to draft. You got to coach them up. If you can't do it, guess what? Your contracts expire pretty soon. So I think it's in your interest to make this one work. I think you guys, it would really be smart to have a great draft this year.
There you go. How about this? Here goes a wild concept. You take the players that we give you and go win with those players.
Yeah.
How about that? And the time that you have with those players before the beginning of the season is when you get them prepared. Is that a deal? I just feel like Kyle and these guys have groomed us into thinking that there's some type of special case. They're like God's gift to football. They're like this test case on what elitism looks like when football is involved. It's like, no, dude. Everybody
his
else
system is so immaculate and so complex that you have to have a PhD before you can even get on the field.
Right. We can't draft any players that could play in this system right away. They've got to be vetted. All right. We can't get guys ready. It's almost like they talk about how hard it is to get ready until their back's against the wall and they're just ready all of a sudden. What did it take to get Trent Williams ready when they drafted him? When they traded for him for a fifth round in the middle of the offseason? Mm-hmm. Was anybody talking about how are we going to get Trent Williams ready for week one?
No. And, they've done it before. Brandon Ayuk started week one. Mike McGlinchey started week one. Like, when he's had to do it, he's done it.
Right. Right. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. There's tackles for us to draft. We already talked about Monroe Freeling is there. Lomu is there. If they really needed to go get a tackle, there's enough time for them to go get one in the first round. Go draft a tackle and get ready, right? And for anybody saying, oh, man, you guys are being so flippant with the Niners. Dude, we're not winning a Super Bowl this year. If there was ever a time to get it together.
Newsflash.
Get it together now. So I don't know. Trent may be overplaying it. I think Trent may be playing himself this time. I don't think he has the leverage that he thinks he does. Because usually that leverage is always undergirded with the panic of the coaching staff to kind of characterize like, hey, let me tell you what this really means. And they don't have that anymore. Now it's like, we don't care.
Yeah.
He's got to honor his contract.
Yeah, like coaches like, oh, what are we going to do without Trent? I don't think Parag really get figured out. What you'll do with the other 31 teams that don't have Trent Williams do. Figure it out.
I'll say this to kind of put a pin on this. You don't covet players like this if you didn't win with them. We didn't win with these guys. You have to recognize that. We did not win with these guys. Mm-mm. So what are we going to do? Are we going to just thank them for the good years and let them ride off into the sunset while they bilk us for guaranteed money every time their contract comes up? Or are we finally going to at least move on from them? One would even say that we're kind of past the point where we can even get any assets for any of these guys anymore because we've paid them so much and kept them so long. They've accrued so many injuries. But really, what have they done for us to keep breaking the contracts for them to give them guaranteed money? We haven't won anything.
No. I love it. I think it's time. It's been time for the Yorks to get tough. And at least, I'm not saying, well, I have been saying fire them, but at least get tough. And they are. We'll see what they do. Their jobs depend on this draft, and Coach and I will do our best to help them. Nick H says, Kyle Shanahan can't develop or draft. He said Moody has talent. Then Tyler says, you think the Niners spend more money on D or O in free agency?
Defense.
Maybe defense. I just feel like all the players the Niners got for Kyle Shanahan last year, he didn't like or use, except for Mac Jones.
Feels like he wasn't involved in the first half of the draft.
Or free agent. I mean, Luke Farrell, did he want him? I don't know.
bro.
I don't know. Anyway, it's time for me to go lift weights. Coach, thank you very much. We'll be back on next week at Thursday as well, the same time, same place. Make sure you subscribe, follow Coach and me. And before we go, Flus, thank you for giving us something to talk about. And we're looking forward to, I'm super open-minded about your tenure, Flus. If I may call you Flus.
Happy to have